Hello and welcome to Subculture. I'm your host Jared.
And I'm Edwina.
And if you listen to this is our Once More With Feeling series on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Today, Edie, we are doing Season 6, Episode 3, Afterlife. This episode, we nearly got on time then, didn't we? This episode first aired October 9th, 2001, written by Jane Espenson and Rebecca Krishna, and directed by David Solomon. Over to you, Eddie.
This is a full spoiler podcast. I'm a huge fan, but Jared has never watched the series all the way through, and I'm trying to convince him it's worth his time. And now that we're into Season 6, I think you have to admit it's been worth your time.
I don't know. I've got to be honest. This episode was a bit of a snooze fest for me. I watched it twice, and when doing the questions, I really struggled with the answers on this one. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah. So this episode does pick up where the last one left off. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of a bridging episode. They kind of have to deal with, there was a big world-changing spell that was cast. And whenever that happens, there always has to be a consequence. Always. Every time one of these big spells is done, there's always something to balance. There's always some trade-off to balance it out. Like that's the way that the rules of magic work in this universe, is that you have to balance your elements.
Otherwise, you could just use them willy-nilly.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they do have to do, the consequences of doing these big spells so that they can't keep doing these spells. I thought they'd already kind of gone over that, about that urn that they use. Like there was only one of them in the world. Like there weren't hundreds of them lying around. So they couldn't just pick up a new one.
Well, it's also sort of just lazy writing. We just use magic to fix magic sometimes.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Frozen.
The cold never bothered me anyway.
But yeah, this is, as I said, it's a bridging episode before, we get into the arc of the season. You do also get a little bit of setup for the rest of the season. The episode, again, very, there's kind of this dark undertones in this episode as well. And yeah,
these last few episodes felt a lot darker.
It was difficult doing the questions because there wasn't a great deal of humour.
Oh, so it wasn't just me?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I do find that this episode, in the scale of Season 6 episodes, is a fairly mediocre episode. But it kind of needs to be in there because a lot of shows don't do this, where the way that this episode ends, it doesn't end on a happy note.
No, not at all.
Which really
Absolutely
does,
not, no.
Which a lot of shows will just, they wrap up this bridging episode and then the next episode, everything's back to normal. The trauma that they've gone through, it barely happened. They won't talk about it. There's no them dealing with that trauma that they've gone through. They're fine in the next episode. Whereas this one, it's like she is not, they make it very clear that she is not okay.
Frightening stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll do the summary and we'll get back to it. The episode picks up right where the last one left off and finds a Scooby gang rushing to find Buffy and assumes she's at home. With Razor dead, the demon bikers are on the run. At her house, Buffy is confused and disorientated by the changes, and Dawn tells her that Giles is in London. Spike arrives, angry and searching for Dawn. When Buffy and Dawn come downstairs, Spike initially thinks that Buffy is the repaired Buffy bot, but soon realises it's really her. He tenderly cleans her wounded hands, recognising the injuries as that of digging out of a grave. The Scooby Gang arrives with the overwhelmed Buffy and she retreats upstairs. As Xander and Anya leave, they encounter a hurt and angry Spike. He warns Xander that magic always has consequences. After notifying Giles of Buffy's return, Willow and Tara go to bed. During the night, an angry yelling Buffy visits Willow and Tara's room. When they turn on the light, she is gone. When they investigate, they find Buffy asleep in her room. A mysterious lump on the ceiling prompts Willow to call Xander. While Xander is on the phone, Anya enters the room with a knife, slits her cheek, and collapses as the lump moves across the floor. The next day, the gang gathers to brainstorm, but no one knows what the entity is and Buffy remains distant. Buffy feels out of place and leaves to patrol alone. The demon then possesses Dawn, who breathes fire and collapses. Buffy finds Spike at his crypt and they have an awkward conversation. Spike confesses his guilt over failing to save Dawn. Willow discovers the creature was created by the spell that resurrected Buffy. The demon has no body, which is why it has been possessing the gang. Reversing the spell would eliminate the demon, but also undo Buffy's resurrection. Dawn freaks out at the idea of losing Buffy again, and Willow finds out that the demon can only survive if Buffy is killed. The demon, possessing Xander at the time, thanks Willow for the information and heads out for Buffy. Buffy battles the formless demon, which she can't hurt but can be hurt by. Willow and Tara cast a spell to solidify the demon, and Buffy kills it with an axe. Life returns to normal as Dawn goes to school and Buffy visits her friends at the Magic Box, thanking them for bringing her back and revealing she was in hell. Outside the shop, Buffy finds Spike in a patch of shade. She confides in him that she was in heaven, not hell, and her friends unknowingly pulled her out and insists her friends can never know the truth. The end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just on that last scene, as you were just saying before, that they have that happy ending moment.
And it should have ended.
And that's when the episode should have ended. The
yeah.
episode could have ended right then and there, and you would have thought, okay, well, that's the end of the episode. We'll tune in next week. But then it lingers on and it does have that little end scene at the end when you realise that, oh no, she was in heaven and now you've pulled her back to hell where she is now, where life is pain.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really confronting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I will say one thing about this episode. The demon itself is very forgettable.
Well, it doesn't really have it has a form at the end.
Yeah, there's also no real
like
rules. There's also, it sort of doesn't have rules or rhyme or reason. Like it seems to teleport from one place to another very quickly. It seems to possess people, but you don't know they're possessed until all of a sudden it's like, thank you for the info. Like it can just, there's sort of no real rule for this.
So did it possess
entity.
Buffy or was that a vision?
I think that was just a vision.
Yeah. Okay.
Because when they turned the light on, there was nothing there.
And she was in bed.
Yeah.
But could she have quickly ran off to bed? Maybe. Was that possible?
Not really, because
No.
they literally turned the light on and it's gone.
None of that Slayer super speed going through? No.
No.
No. Okay.
So
Fair enough.
yeah. That's one thing I'll say about this episode. It's the actual demon is very
Well, even the design of the demon at the end is very generic. Just someone with a white sheet on virtually, wasn't it?
Ooh, I'm a ghost. Now I'm corporeal. Yeah. But again, what this episode really is about is that end scene, because that's going to come back in the next episode until she reveals until the truth is revealed.
So there's going to be a reveal, yeah.
You're going to see that at the start of every single episode.
Previously on Grab Him.
And it does feel like a bit of a dark choice on their behalf. And that kind of is also setting up what this season is going to be like. It's again
Sort of the resentment's building.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, I hate it.
Thanks, I hate it here.
Yeah.
And and she does, and the fact that she also lies to her friends as well to kind of appease them. Mainly because they kind of annoy me, or like the four of them, because they expected to do this spell and have her come back exactly as she was.
Yeah.
Without going through, like...
Well, I don't know what they expected, to be honest, because as we were saying in the previous episode, there was no real sort of research into what happens when you do this spell. They didn't really... The fact that she was still in the coffin when they resurrected her body seems like a massive oversight.
Yeah, and the fact that Anya keeps saying, oh, she's come back broken. She's not right. Like this kind of really... What did you expect her to be? Like, did you really expect her to be exactly the same?
I guess they did, yeah. Well, even Xander had and that was a stupid question, but was she going to be a zombie?
Well, and the other
that
thing
a
is
possibility?
Willow is pretty much saying, where's my thanks? Like that was the other thing. Willow was kind of like, where's my thank you?
Yeah, where's my
bringing-
flowers?
She
My medal.
Yeah, she wanted her medal. She wants the praise for how powerful and good she is. How good she is getting at that magics.
Yeah.
The dark magics.
Mm-hmm. I can send you back there if you don't thank me as well.
Yeah, but it is that thing. They want their, bubbly, wise-cracking friend back, but, they had the Buffy bot and they complained about the Buffy bot not being exactly like Buffy, and now they're complaining about Buffy not being exactly like Buffy.
Yeah. Well, it didn't really seem like a democratic choice to bring her back, to be perfectly honest. It just seemed to be Willow's decision to do that.
The fact that Willow knew that she could do it.
Yeah, like even when I was discussing it,
Didn't ask whether
Xander
she
seemed
should do
apprehensive,
it,
like, because I think obviously there was some discussion about it, but when he was faced with the choice of should we do it or not, he was a bit, are we serious about this? And it seemed like he was kind of on the fence about it, to be perfectly honest. And Anya's just going to go with whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Tara was quite apprehensive about it, but supported her girlfriend. So it just seemed like it was really only Willow's decision to bring her back.
Well, it was more the fact that Willow was like, I can do this. And I think it was more that Xander was like, hey, let's just think about this a little bit longer. I don't think he was quite, no, let's not do this. I think he was probably like, let's maybe do a little bit more research on it.
Yeah, well, as I said, it seemed to be her decision alone, really, that was the reason why they brought it back. Everyone else was kind of on the fence about it.
Yeah.
If she said no, they wouldn't have done it. If Willow had said we're not doing it, it wouldn't have happened. So it was really her choice in the end. That's why I'm saying that the democratic process wasn't really there. It was a dictatorship that she led.
Well, would it? Yeah. Well, the other thing is, could have Willow have just done it by herself? That was the other thing.
Or didn't she need to circle of friends to hold hands and stuff?
Well, I don't know. All they do is light a candle. So
I don't know. It's all part of the pomps and circumstance of resurrecting the dead, isn't it?
Maybe. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if they really needed to be there.
Yeah. I mean, who knows with magic spells? I mean, did it need it to be a deer's blood? Could have been rabbit's blood. I mean, could have just been paint. They're not going to know.
Yeah.
You're listening to
Subculture.
So I'll talk about Spike.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this, she's got kind of a connection with Spike. You kind of see her connecting more to him than she does to her own friends.
Buffy you're talking about?
Yeah, Buffy.
Okay, yeah.
So she seems to be, like, the fact that she talks to him about being in heaven instead of talking to her friends. So I feel like she's, because of what her friends have done, she's kind of feeling a bit disconnected to them and a bit resentful towards them. And Spike's the person that she goes to. And you see her do that multiple times throughout the episode, is that she kind of goes to Spike.
I suppose she knows that he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So she doesn't feel like she owes him anything in that sense. So she can be resentful to him.
He doesn't expect her to be exactly as she was prior to dying. Like, he is not expecting her to be exactly the same. He is happy that she is back. But he's the voice of reason. And when Spike is your voice of reason, you're in trouble. You've done something really wrong. You have messed with something you really shouldn't have messed with. If Spike is your voice of reason and he's the one saying what Willow did was very, very wrong and there are going to be consequences.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does start to set up the Buffy Spike dynamic in this.
Well, she's confiding in him now,
Yeah.
so they're getting a little closer.
She's trusting him more than her friends. And I think there's also that guilt that he confides in her about is making her trust him even more, is the fact that he felt so much guilt over what happened with Dawn.
So he's eventually wearing her down.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what ends up happening.
Yeah.
I don't really have too many other talking points for this episode. Is there anything?
Not really.
Had you seen this episode?
No, I hadn't seen this episode, and
it's also one of these episodes where there's not really a lot of other characters introduced. Like, there's no.
The cast is pretty well. No, you haven't got Giles there anymore. So the cast seemed a little smaller, and the creature wasn't a human person they were
But it was always like there was
interacting with.
there was almost no extras. There was no other vampire
We had
slayings.
still a few of the bikers at the start, I think, briefly. I think, yeah. But I don't think they interacted much at all.
I thought you only just kind of heard them in the background, like you didn't really see them. Like I don't know. I was sort of thinking about this episode, and then when I was looking on IMDb at the cast, I'm like, oh, it's literally only the core cast and.
The budget episode.
Yeah, it did seem like the real budget episode because it literally only has like, what is it, the 6 of them?
Yeah.
And this ghost creature.
Yeah.
So maybe, you're right. It is kind of the budget episode. It only takes place in, there's no...
Well, no new location,
no
was there?
new location.
So we had Willow's room, dorm. Is she in a room or dorm?
Oh, no, she's living in Buffy's house now.
Oh, right. So it's just Buffy's house, magic shop, and they were outside for a little bit in the street. So just sort of 3 locations.
Yeah, and you see Xander's apartment.
Yeah.
And Spike's crypt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so only a few locations. So, yeah, limited cast. All right.
Yeah.
There's your shoestring budget.
Well, all of those places are all on the one soundstage, I'd say.
I think that outside shot might be Universal Studios, maybe. Looks like the backlot of like when the DeLorean crashes into the shop at the end of Back to the Future. Kind of looks like that street. They use that in a lot of shows. Maybe. And if you ask me rabbit hole, no rabbit holes. There's nothing to go down on this episode.
Yeah, there's hardly any music. There's no music really used in it.
We're
there's no
just
songs.
rambling on now, just saying there's nothing to talk about.
There was no bronze. There's no.
We haven't seen the bronze in a while, have we?
No.
Yeah.
We probably won't see it for a little while as well.
Yeah.
As I said, there's no other characters to talk about. There's no. I've already talked about the demon in this. It's very, very bland, mediocre.
Yeah, and now we're going in circles talking about the same thing. All right, that's enough padding.
Right.
How about we just get into question time? Oh dear. Okay, question time.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
I could talk more about Willow's abuse of magic.
I could probably save that for another episode. I'm sure it's going to come up again. So let's just go. Let's just get through these questions. It feels like we're just pushing through this, but there's no point in just rambling on about nothing, I guess. So it's yeah.
All right, Jared. Which character was your favourite in this episode?
I liked Spike.
Yeah, I went with Spike as well because he's the voice of reason.
Yeah,
he's the voice of reason. Which character do you love to hate in this episode?
Guess Willow's pissing me off a little bit.
Yeah, I started getting a bit pissed off with Anya.
Anya? Yeah, actually, I was thinking Anya too. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's just like, why is she like that? It's like, we brought her back to life. Like, why is she not like normal? Like, shouldn't she just be her normal self? Like
that's what you sound like.
My function is to keep Summer safe, not keep Summer being, totally stoked about, the general vibe and stuff. That's you. That's how you talk.
LOL moment.
I actually don't have anything yet. I've got nothing in this.
There was barely any...
I don't think... I tried skimming it again just to look for something, and I didn't find anything funny.
Pretty much all I could think of that was just slightly humorous in a very dark way was actually when Spike comes in going to Dawn. Oh, you scared me half to death. And then he's like, I could kill you. I mean, I could rip your head off one-handed and drink from your brainstem. And then Dawn's like, look, it's Buffy. And that's when he sort of stops and yeah, it's Buffy bot.
Yeah,
and
I've seen the Buffy bot.
Yeah, and then realizes, that's actually impossible for it to be the Buffy bot.
Yeah, compared to that quickly, huh? So
you couldn't find any other?
No, I'm going to have to leave that one blank.
All right, favourite fight scene?
It's just the demon and Buffy.
Yeah,
fighting at the air at the start.
Well,
swapping at the air.
Well, I just went Buffy once the beastie becomes corporeal.
I guess maybe that's an LOL moment of her swinging at the air.
All right.
Okay, that's my LOL moment.
All right. Favorite scene?
Yeah, it's the scene at the end. I think the conversation between Spike and Buffy. About she's not okay. This is not okay.
This isn't over.
No.
Well, my favourite scene is actually very, very subtle. And it's not really even a scene. It's almost a shot like of her that just felt very symbolic. And it's when she says that she's going on patrol and then she's walking in the cemetery. And as she's walking, she walks past like a statue of an angel, and it lines up perfectly with her back.
Oh yeah, the camera sort of tracks her for a second, so she's walking with the angels on her back. Yeah,
yeah. And then it's sort of that kind of sums up the episode is that she's
a fallen angel,
feeling like a fallen angel. Exactly, she's being kicked out of heaven.
That's nice. Yeah. Symbolism less subtle than Twilight angels on the back.
Yeah. So I just liked that shot, I guess. As I said, it's very subtle. But I've noticed a lot of other shows start doing it recently, especially famously Game of Thrones do it with Daenerys.
Oh, at the end, yeah.
At the end, and as she's walking up the stairs, you see the dragon wings of, was it Drogon? Drogon?
Drogon? I can't remember. Yeah, her dragon, yeah.
As he's flying up, but it looks like they're her wings.
Yeah, because she's not an angel. Not anymore.
Where are my dragons?
What is your least favourite scene?
Yeah, I didn't have anything for this one either. Like, just look, lots of mediocre scenes.
Yeah, I don't
know.
The one that I really didn't like was when Dawn gets possessed and she blows like fire out of her mouth. It's kind of, it just seems a bit silly.
Okay, yeah. I'll go with that one. Yeah. That's a good pick.
Yeah. Favourite quote? Again, this one was a hard one.
Well, I just sort of picked one at random, really. When Spike and Xander are talking about how, about bringing Buffy back, and Spike says, "You didn't tell me. You brought it back and you didn't tell me." And Xander replies, "Well, now you know." And Spike says, "I worked beside you all summer." Xander Harris, "Well, we didn't tell you. It was just, we didn't, okay?" That's nothing really to read into that. I think it was just, just showing that they knew what they were doing was wrong, and by not telling him was more about him trying to stop them.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a good reflection of that, I suppose.
Yeah. I've pretty much got, we made a demon, badass, from Xander.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. This poor episode is just getting shat on.
I don't mean to shit on this episode because it's not actually a bad episode. There are worse episodes in the season. It's just mediocre.
Yeah.
And this season is going to have a lot of fantastic episodes in it.
Okay, looking forward to that whenever they come.
And there's like maybe 3 really bad episodes.
I am questioning my time now, to be honest. I'm questioning it.
No, there's some absolute gems on their way.
Take your word for it.
Yeah. All right. Who gets the wooden spoon?
Well, I did give that to Anya.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your reasoning behind that?
Well, again, look, you had to look at the cast. There wasn't much people. I had to give it to someone, and I just felt she was probably the least relevant and just bitching the whole time, I guess.
Yeah.
Not much more to say than that, I guess.
Yeah, I went with Willow. Because again...
See, we
again,
flipped it on that one, didn't we?
Didn't look into the possibilities of didn't look into what the consequences might be for doing like one of these big world-changing spells.
I was going to give it to her, but she did fix her mess.
Yeah.
So that's...
Sort of.
For now. I guess.
Sort of. She sort of fixed it.
Sort of fixed it. Okay. Well, as far as I'm concerned, this episode, she kind of fixed her mess. So up to this point, I have to review it on this episode, and I gave it to Anya.
Okay. All right. Who's the MVP of this episode?
Well, I went Willow.
Willow, no, Buffy.
Yeah, it's Buffy. Yeah.
Buffy ends up killing the...
the sheet.
The sheet demon.
Sheet demon.
The weird demon that they created.
Did it even have a name?
Did they? I don't know. I can't remember, honestly.
Well, it's kind of weird. We've never seen a birth of a demon before.
Yeah.
So we give it credit for that, like how demons are created and, through people performing spells, I guess, how they created. That's an interesting concept, I guess. Something to think about.
I guess. All right. What do you rate this episode out of 10?
I gave it 4 bloody knuckles.
Nice.
Yes.
I gave it 6 out of 10. Consequences for your actions.
Okay. It's more of a statement than a thing from the show, but that'll pass. That's okay.
Well,
that's fine.
There's now been multiple consequences for their actions, like multiple consequences for these. You know, it's that Willow still hasn't learnt that magic has consequences. It's a very weird thing that she still hasn't learnt this lesson.
Considering how knowledgeable she is at magic.
Yeah, and how long she's been doing it for and how long she's been exposed to these big spells. She knows that there's always, every time they do them, there is always consequences.
Thing about magic, there's always consequences. Always.
All right.
Well, now that she's learned that she'll never do it
She'll
again.
never do it again.
That's
She'll never.
a relief,
yeah,
yeah.
she's learned her lesson now. She'll never do another big spell.
Yeah.
She'll never do one of these big spells that has consequences.
Yeah, well, that's a relief.
And spells also never go wrong.
No.
Never go awry. Spells never go awry in this show.
Yeah. It's okay, we mispronounce them sometimes.
They're my favourite episodes of the spells go awry episodes.
They are.
They're always a good episode. All right.
Was it Vomitus? Humectae? All right, Eddie.
All right.
We're just going to wrap this up now, aren't
Yeah.
we? It's a very
Yeah.
short episode, but it is what it is, I guess. So, well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us tonight on this brand new episode of Nerd Subculture. My name is Jared,
I'm Edwina.
and if you like this, great. Thank you so much. But if you want to do more, you can.
Can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, and there is a Facebook page if you want to help the podcast out. You can follow the link tree on the socials to our merch store.
Oh, beautiful, Eddie. That's great. All right. Till next time, take care. Bye.
Bye.
It's hard to get a good night's death around her.